Department of what? Extraterrestrial
Extraterrestrial,
something
something, something.
something. All right, we're back. So we've got a different crew on right now. You just listened to the first part of our show with Chris and Paige talking about Batwoman. Now you've got James and Mike here. Hey, James, how are you?
Hey, Mike, what's going on?
Yeah, same old, So we're going to talk now. Chris and Paige went over Batwoman pretty thoroughly, so we're going to talk about the rest of the CW stuff since I have now caught up to.
By the way, I think it's kind of, I know it wasn't planned on, but it's great that they kind of went over the basura, the garbage that is
Yeah.
Batwoman, and that allow us to really get into some of the meatier stuff, which is great. I love those guys. Chris
Well,
and Paige, thank you.
I'm not gonna call it trash yet, right? Because it's so early, and I'm hoping it's really gonna. I'm hoping it's gonna find its groove, right? So I'm not gonna count it out just yet. And so far, I've been like, with every episode, I just kind of been like, come on already, But we'll see.
I'm the last person standing in my own household that even chose to watch the second episode. So, yeah,
Are
let's move
they? I
on.
think we're on 3 now, aren't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw the third one a couple days ago. But see, that brings us to the bigger picture, which is the CW shows in general, right?
Yes,
So,
sir. Yes, sir.
I've been telling you guys I binged over the summer. I was like, yeah, maybe it's time to actually start watching these things. So I started with season 1 of all this. Well,
You
no,
started
let
with
me take
Arrow,
that
right?
back.
You started with Arrow.
I Yeah, it was basically Arrow and Flash because I had been watching Supergirl and Legends up to the last season.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to quickly get through 7 seasons of Arrow and 5 seasons of Flash, and then the last season of those two plus Supergirl and Legend. So I made it, and then now I'm all caught up.
I don't know, sir.
Of course you don't know. You don't know because only I know.
Don't care how. I want it now.
So before, yeah, Mike, before I let you go into because you actually are you got a little bit of Regency bias, so just great to hear your takes of what you think this entire CW superhero lineup has been. I started from the beginning, so I may have some different perspectives here and there. But I just wanted to make sure to our audience that the way we look at this is almost similar to the MCU penultimate and final shows for Endgame and Infinity War, in my opinion. So I think once this crossover that comes starts in December, ends in January, I don't think the CW superhero lineup will be the same after that. So we're actually at a great point to really dive into these shows. So it's great that you're able to go ahead and start and conclude your binge, so that the two of us can really get into what does this mean for the overall DC TV universe. What does it mean to the characters
Hmm.
characters that are featured in that universe, and what's our overall opinion. So I'm looking forward to start.
Yeah, I mean, the main reason I decided to get into it was because once I read that Infinite Earths was coming, I was like, well, yeah, I think it's time. So but let's start with Arrow because that's the one that actually kicked off the whole thing, right?
Yeah.
That was the gamble they took. They said, if we're gonna do, it's weird to think about how they decided, what to do first, basically,
Yeah.
right? When the CW guy said we want to do DC shows, what are we gonna do? Okay, let's do Arrow. It's probably because it was the most grounded in
Yes, I
reality,
think from what I remember when I first started watching Arrow, because I knew through the trailers there was going to be something that they're going to put on CW or whatever it was. I'm not even sure if
hmm
yeah, it was still CW. It wasn't because CW's went through like 4 different Supernatural still
UPN.
standing, and we can have a show about that another
Yeah.
time. But I think this was
Oh, the
yes,
WB. Remember the
WB.
WB,
So
right?
Arrow was their first foray post Smallville. So they like the formula
Right.
of Smallville being serialized with like grounded character stories, yet still showing the fact that
Yeah.
he's Clark Kent, he's Superman, is the strongest person, strongest being on a planet. So with
Hmm.
Arrow, I think they wanted to keep it similar to that, but be a little more adult, a little more gritty. And if you
Right.
recall, because this is still fresh for you, the first season, Arrow was, he was in kill mode, for lack of a better word. Something
Yes. Yes. He was pure vigilante.
that's
Yep.
obviously the
Hmm.
stories are straight from the first season. So I think just for them to start the entire universe, and let's be honest, they're not even sure themselves that they're going to actually build a whole universe out of it. They were hoping that they can get a couple more side characters,
Right.
but they lucked out really well with Grant Austin, which we'll get to in a second. So I think,
Yeah. Well, I think that's why they waited two
yeah,
years, right, to see where it would go before they decided we're going to invest more
they
money
did.
into this thing,
So
right?
that first season of Arrow
Mm.
really was, on the hope and faith that if you used to like Smallville and you want some more of this stuff, but a little more gritty, more adult, try Arrow. And
Right.
here we go.
Yeah, and definitely. So yeah, watching from season one, I appreciate how the characters have evolved, where they've gone with the show, where Oliver's gone as a hero and a person. So I really enjoyed the arc he took, and I like where he's going. Apparently, so this is the end for him,
Yes.
though, right? This last season, I guess he's gonna die. Spoiler alert for those who don't know, but I guess they're gonna kill him off at the end. He's gonna be the Tony Stark of the
The CWDC world, yeah. So from what
CWDC
I
world,
learned is
right?
that this entire storyline was based on an actual comic storyline, but in that version, it was Supergirl and
Mm,
Flash, I believe, that actually were sacrificed to create the new DC universe from this Infinite Crisis, and so now they're switching it to Arrow,
yeah, right now Barry thinks he's
correct?
gonna die
Because
though.
that's how it's
So
supposed to be in the comics.
uh,
So this is
yeah.
opportunity for CW to look at it twofold. To look see how MCU did with ushering out Robert Downey Jr., who started the MCU. Same thing with Stephen Amell, but
Mm,
also to continue
right.
those two shows, Supergirl and Flash, which still still getting good ratings on CW. So this is opportunity for them to continue, but usher out Stephen Amell, one last, audio, and tie that story up with him being the sacrificial lamb as opposed to Supergirl and Flash.
Yeah, I think it's probably the best way to go about it too, because he's been doing it now for 8 years, right? So why not go out with a bang? And this last season, with the whole flash forward thing, I think we were talking about it offline. It's a bit confusing,
It
right?
is,
So,
and I think something tells me they're hoping to create a spinoff from that. It may not work. I'm not
mm,
quite sure. I mean, some of the characters there are interesting, but without like Felicity's already gone. Diggle's gonna probably be gone with Stephen Amell leaving,
yeah,
so it's really like tough to really follow a show of new characters that you kind of know from a season ago, but it's supposed to be in the
yeah,
future, and it's tough. You know, I don't know.
yeah. I guess we'll see what happens because they don't even mention really what year it is, right? But it's about 20 years
Yeah, I
later or
figured
so,
just
isn't
by
it?
the age of the characters, you figure it's at least 20 years later. You mentioned
Mm-hmm.
this season. I think some of the great nostalgic moments in the last episode or so was the fact that when Stephen Amell, when the Arrow is in the bunker of the
Mm-hmm.
alternate Earth, and he sees um, the actor who's playing him now as the Arrow the Ultimate Universe version. He's doing the salmon ladder, which is what started for the show Arrow, like
Right.
in the beginning. And he's looking at
Yeah.
this guy
Uh
like, show off. That was brilliant, brilliant writing,
huh.
brilliant everything.
Yeah.
Whoever thought of that idea, because I don't know if you know, the actor himself actually went on American Ninja Warrior once because he made it so popular
Oh, did
mainstream.
he?
Yes, he did. A couple years ago, he
Mm.
actually went on the show and then had to go to hospital because he said that his body just reacted terrible after the event. He went pretty far. I think
Oh,
he almost
wow.
completed stage one. So it was
Huh.
great to see him like kind of one last call to the salmon ladder as a training
Yeah,
regimen.
yeah.
That was cool.
Oh, well, he's from
Yes,
Toronto.
I
You
do
know that,
know that.
right? A lot of them are from Canada because they film all these shows up here. Even though your exterior shots look like L.A.,
Trust me,
Chicago.
those of us in
You
New
know.
York, we all know it's not New York. We know it's up in Canada. You're not fooling us.
Oh, even when I see a fake skyline and people they try and tell you on the show it's New York, I'm like, yeah, get out of here with that crap, right?
Yeah. So that's
Yeah.
Arrow.
So then so that's what confuses me a little bit about the flash forward, because if we got Crisis
Hmm.
coming this year, which originally was supposed to be
Hmm.
2024, and now it's going to be 2019 in
Hmm.
December. I don't know how that affects the flash forward with the kids, right? In Arrow.
Well, great question, but you have to think that something occurred with Flash and Arrow in this future universe because
Hmm.
the Arrow's still dead. His daughter said that he went
Right.
missing, and there's no there's no indication of Flash existing in this future universe at all.
Ah, that's interesting. I didn't notice that. Hmm.
So I mean, with all the metas are running around in the future, you would imagine Flash being one of them that he would have been announced, or maybe that's a big secret they're revealing to the end of this season. But as of moment, there's no announcement of either Supergirl, Flash, or any of the Legends character existing in this
Right.
flash forward.
Yeah.
Only the fact that
So
the arrow is no longer there. Go ahead.
is it even Earth One, or do I don't
You
know?
really want to get it? You really want to go a deep dive?
No. Well, here's my question then. Because okay, so we say there's no Arrow, there's no more Flash. We've got Arrow hopping the multiverse, trying to save it. Right. We've got Barry who did a Doctor Strange and saw billions of possible outcomes. Right.
Yep.
All of them with him dying to save the universe. So we don't know how that's going to play out. I'm assuming he's not going to die because he's going
No,
to come back, right? For the
no, but let's switch gears into the Flash. I think that's a perfect
Yep,
segue because as you know, within the second season of Arrow, the character Barry Allen, played by Grant Austin, was introduced as a potential spinoff, and
that was very slick of them introducing him into Arrow the way they did. By the way, as a and because obviously I knew who he was, so it wasn't a surprise to me, right? But I'm sure when people saw it for the first time, they were like, "Oh, cool,"
they did. So, what was your first take
Mhm.
when you saw Grant Austin, sorry, taking the role?
Well, I think he's a good actor. He looks a little too scrawny, but you know what? He's got that tall, lanky, like look like he's built for speed kind of guy. So, but as an actor, I find him he's okay. Like I noticed they try and bring a lot more humor to that show than they do to Arrow.
They do,
Right? It's a little
they
lighter
do.
in tone,
And,
so I think he's good for that.
and speaking of that humor, not to get too far ahead of ourselves, but the first crossover they ever
Mhm.
did was between those two shows, and it was
Right?
clear when Arrow was on the scene, it was like of course his music and score played, but then he was a little more gritty and serious tone, whereas
Yeah.
Flash was a little more
Hmm.
jokey with Cisco and everyone else. And I love how they wrote in, and even in Arrow's character, like, don't you take anything serious? Like, you can't, like,
Yeah.
and that was great that that just because like, these two exist in the same world and one kind of operates in a different type of environment than the other one doesn't mean that, they both have to succumb to each other's environment. The fact that Arrow had the conversation with Flash about being a hero, he's got to be grittier, and then vice versa. He was like, well, sometimes, you know, um, Oliver, you have to take things into stride and enjoy life before it's gone. At that time, it was the issue was him and Felicity not getting in the same page. So I think that was great.
So which, yeah. So that was the first crossover I think when with the double arrows in Flash's
Yeah,
back, right? And then when they switched bodies in the other crossover, he returned the favor. I thought that was
that was
hilarious.
hilarious.
Yeah. One thing I want to say about that tone with the who's serious and who's
Hmm.
not, I noticed that the Flash does the same thing to Ralph Dibny, Mister Elongated Man, right? Who doesn't take anything seriously, and when Grant's trying to save his family or
Hmm.
whatever,
Hmm.
and Ralph's always cracking jokes. I notice he kind of becomes Arrow-esque there, and can you stop joking around and blah blah
Yeah.
blah, and
So let's dig into the because I think I mean not Arrow, Flash has probably had the biggest arc of stories in any of these other CW shows because it went through like all the feels. It went through like the funny first two series, then it went to like
hmm
him trying to save his
yeah,
mom. It got a little darker. Then got really dark at some point with the season with the Thinker, where folks were actually dying, getting killed,
yeah, yeah.
and it's been really dark, off and on here and there. So
So
I.
one thing I appreciate about this show, though, it's very sci-fi, which is good.
Mhm.
I like there's a lot of time travel, there's a lot of dimensional travel. Almost reminds me of like a Stargate SG-1
Mhm.
when they keep hopping, through the portals and stuff.
Yeah.
So that brought me back a bit. So
See, my only thing with that is I disagree slightly is because I feel like sometimes they get ahead of the special effects and like
mhm.
the big popcorn stuff, and they lose track of the story because they'll go
Yeah,
on like
yeah.
a 3 4 episode arc that absolutely means nothing to the main season story arc.
Right, yeah.
That's my only complaint about that.
So where are we at? We're on season 6 now, and like we said earlier, the Flash has been told by the Monitor that the crisis is coming and he's gonna die.
Correct.
And so
Correct.
he was able to, with the help of Earth 3's Flash, project himself into the future with the. We won't call it the Time Stone because there's no Time Stone.
Mm. Mm.
But somehow he was able to project his astral self into the future
Well,
and see what the.
let's talk about this Monitor character. So I had to do some
Yeah, I don't really
research
know
on.
much. Yeah, I
Yeah,
don't know much about him either.
I had to do some
So, Mike,
research on him. Go ahead.
the first thing I was only going to say, the first thing I thought when I saw him and looked him up a bit, I was like, this guy's like the Watcher from Marvel.
Yeah, but the
The
Watcher
Watcher.
with like living tribunal powers.
Mm-hmm,
He's that
mm-hmm.
powerful.
But
So
I think the Watchers they had some powers though, don't they?
nowhere near the level of what this guy is wielding.
Mm.
No,
And
nowhere
the
near that
Anti
level.
Monitor just sounded like a Watcher who was going off the rails and said, "I'm just gonna make the timeline how I want it," right?
Just
Or
about.
make the universe. Yeah.
Just about. So I know I mentioned earlier how the original storyline in the comics were based on Flash and Supergirl sacrificing themselves, and now we're kind of flipping a little bit to Arrow. So this whole Monitor thing really started with the crossover about 2 years back. Was it last year's a crossover? I think it's last year's crossover, where
Earth
Supergirl,
X
yeah, Supergirl, who
was
was on its
okay.
own show that
Yeah.
started back on CBS, that now is on a CW network, as it should have been in the first place. Her character was introduced in this entire mess. So, Mike, what's your point on the Supergirl character as a standalone TV series and how it intertwines with CW?
So like I mentioned earlier, so Supergirl was the first we'll call it CW show. I know it was CBS originally, and it was the first one I actually started watching because I knew more. You know who Supergirl is, right? You know her powers. She's the cousin of Superman, so you know she can do basically what he can.
Yep.
And you know the backstory. They had the old movie back in the late '80s, and so similar kind of storyline. So I was like, all right, I'll check it out. And the way they went with it was actually okay. I don't know about some of the. I like that they have Martian Manhunter there. I think he's a good character to have on the show.
I love the actor, by the way. I
Yeah,
like
he's
his video.
great. Mm-hmm. I wasn't too keen on Jimmy Olsen, but I never have been, right? And moving Jimmy to Supergirl's territory and then them dating and all of a
Yeah,
sudden
he's terrible.
he's like
He's just terrible. He's just terrible. Everything about the character since day one has been terrible. Every arc they've given him storyline. Maybe it's the actor,
mhm.
maybe it's the writing. I don't know, but he's terrible.
But they're trying to make him to too much of a tough guy. I think Jimmy's been a good sidekick, but he's never been the tough guy, right? I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but I always thought Jimmy was I'd better go check this out. Oh no, I'm in trouble. Help me.
He was, and he
Kind of
he
guy.
was, and I think they tried to do that with Supergirl's character, at least the first season, but then somehow they morphed him into like being a number two sidekick, and then all of a sudden he became a standalone character, the Guardian, and then he had his own
Well,
stories that hijacked the yeah,
yeah, and then plus their relationship kind of weirded me out too, right?
yeah,
So
it made absolutely no sense.
right, and then we've got her sister, who's the head of the DEO, which is Department of what extraterrestrial
Extraterrestrial
something
something something.
something.
So her character, I
Yeah,
actually liked her character. For the most part, I've had some issues with her because I felt like she was tough, gas type of an agent in the beginning. Then she
hmm
got promoted to the head of the organization because of Martian Manhunter's secret was revealed, so he could no longer run the organization because he's an extraterrestrial. It's like finding Ted
right.
Cruz actually is a Mexican, so he can't really be anti-immigrant. So
He can't be Mexican because he's the Zodiac killer.
so it's some weird stuff like that. So, but then
Uh huh.
from for that moment on, I forgot it was season three, maybe when they transitioned it from CBS, is then they introduced the fact that she wanted to adopt a child, and then she met this girl who was a cop that she fell in love with, and then it was like her her
Yeah.
her job and duties were not giving her a chance to develop a relationship with her, and then she also went. Then it was like,
Mm.
oh, Kara's secret. Like I didn't know her. Then they really did that character dirty last couple seasons. The only time that I found her character being interested again was in a larger cameo and like the superhero team ups from the crossovers, because when she was there, that
Yeah.
she was cool again. But then back in the Supergirl show,
Oh, I loved her. Yeah, I loved her interaction
Sarah,
with the other canary. Yeah,
yes,
Sarah. That was
yes,
great. Yeah. But yeah, so what I found with Supergirl is that as the seasons are going on, they're getting a lot more political or preachy. And I think I mentioned this to you. I know there's a lot of filler because it's 23 episodes a season per show. So you're filling each episode's got to be 42 minutes long, times 23 times four
yep.
shows, right? So you're gonna have a lot of you got to have a lot of lovey-dovey scenes and a lot of try and fill in with some comedy and every motivational speak, and then but I find that Supergirl does a lot of message
That's
points,
not a
right?
lot. It's
Or
it's
or is it?
it's to the point where it just slaps you in the face with like a wet piece of cloth.
Well, I noticed with last season with the introduction of Dreamer, which I had just when I pinged you the other day, and I was like, I just got that with
Yeah,
Dreamer. She's a DACA kid.
yeah,
That's why they call her
yeah,
Dreamer. So
yeah.
I was like, yeah, this might be
Hold
getting a
on,
little
hold
bit
on.
too
But
much
that was
now.
after the fact that
Yeah.
they made the antagonist of that season, Sam Witwer, by the way. I love him. He does a lot of Star Wars
He's great.
voices. He has his own
He
shows. He
from
was in
being
Being
human.
Human.
Yep.
He played Star Killer
Mm-hmm.
in all the Star Wars movies.
Yes. Yep.
Basically became like the MAGA supreme character.
He's like
They
he's
got
like
Earth back.
yeah, no, but he's like Ben Shapiro type guy, right? He's not like a politician. He's like, oh, who's the big fat dude that wears tinfoil on his head on the YouTube? The one that's getting sued by everybody for calling Sandy Hook a
Oh,
fake.
I'm not sure who that is.
You know what I'm talking about? Alex
Alex
Jones.
Jones. Alex
Alex
Jones.
Jones.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, there you go.
But
So he's that
yeah, he's
type
got
of
a little
guy.
more
Yeah,
education though. At least the character has a little more education than Alex Jones. So to me, at that point,
right.
that's when I was sitting there with my kids. I think my younger daughter actually realized it first because she's in high school now, going through history and politics. She said it automatically, like, "Whoa, why are they trying to make this too real world? It's supposed to be fantastical. It's supposed to escape reality with this. We're not doing that." So
Yeah, excuse me. And then I guess so. From last season, the president turned out to be an
yes, a couple
alien.
seasons ago, yeah,
And when we say alien, folks, we're not talking like
from out of Earth,
undocumented. We're actually talking about
off world.
off-world
The
alien. Yeah,
original definition.
yeah,
So I think last season when they introduced Lex Luthor, they kind of like veered a little bit away from like the heavy political message and
right.
the Dreamer Act and all the other stuff, and trying to get it
Yeah.
back to like a superhero world. And
Right, which I thought was good because remember I told you when I started watching this, I was like, "This is very preachy. I don't know where we're going." And you mentioned that it kind of picks up, midway once Lex comes on the scene, and I'm glad they did that. Glad they brought it back to it's just a crazy guy trying to take over the world.
So let me ask you a quick question. What were your thoughts on this
hmm
version of Lex Luthor?
Well, I appreciate that they brought him, um, 2.5 Men guy back. What's his name?
Oh, I forgot his name, but yeah, Two and a Half Men.
But he was in Superman 3,
Yes,
right? He's Lex's
yes.
nephew in that movie. So I appreciate them bringing him back, and he was actually, I thought he
I
was
thought he
actually
was
pretty
good. I
good
thought he
as
was very
Lex.
good. Yeah, I did.
Yep, yep.
I did.
So I hope they bring him back for Crisis, because
Yeah, because his
is
character's
he
still
dead though?
alive. No, his character's alive. I think she
Okay,
had him banished somewhere. I believe he's still alive.
because they keep saying yeah, Belina kept
Or
saying he's
she had his
dead.
diaries or something. She was reading his diary.
Yeah,
To go back and
I don't
check.
know, but yeah, I thought good choice. I thought he's he's showing his acting chops because I know on 2.5 Men you just oh, John Cryer,
John
sorry, that's
Cryer.
his name.
Yeah,
You don't have to. The 2.5 Men is not a show where you have a lot of range, right? Or you need to.
not at all.
So I thought it was. I thought some of his psycho moments where he started getting angry that
That was
was
very
good.
good. I mean, clearly is an actor that
Yeah.
knows his way around like small
hmm
TV shows, whether it be drama or comedy or superhero. He did pretty well.
Well, I wonder if he watched Superman 3 and said, "Okay, this is what I'm not
I'm
gonna
not
do."
gonna do. Yeah, this is a blueprint for what not to do.
But you know what? Hackman was good in the first Superman. I'm not gonna knock that one. And then they just totally, whatever they did to the character after that, it was just like he became a clown.
I think my only favorite Lex Luthor has always been the DC animated version.
Well, yeah, there's the animated
Because
ones,
that
right?
guy is
Although,
menacing. He's
but the guy from Smallville was
brutal.
pretty good too.
He was alright. He was alright.
Yeah.
He got a little campy in the latter years, but yeah.
hmm Hey, but I want to go back to Flash before we talk a little more about Supergirl because we didn't talk about the. I did want to talk about some of the bad guys, right?
Go ahead.
Because so I think season 1 we had Reverse Flash, and then we had Zoom, and then Savitar, right? Which who I thought was really kick ass, and then we
So
had
hold
that
on.
twist
So
that.
who would you say? I know you're telling me, in order which villains that you watch, but who would you say was your best villain?
Hmm. Who else have we had? Well, we had the Thinker. The Thinker was good
Oh man,
because he wasn't just another speedster, right?
it
Although,
can't be better than Zoom. Eobard Thawne, man. He's what started it all.
no, oh, you mean Reverse Flash? No, of
Yeah.
course not. No, no. I think Reverse Flash was the best because he was genius and a speedster, right?
Yes, and he's also charismatic.
Yeah, yeah, I agree there. I think I like Savitar because he looked the coolest. Like when he first popped up on the screen, I was like,
Yeah,
"Oh,
yeah, he's definitely
nice."
the most devastating. And I hated the
Yeah,
Thinker because to me it was just pure lazy writing that allowed this guy, to be able to outthink the entire freaking team every episode to the point where it got ridiculous. Like, come on.
right. Yeah,
Don't forget Gorilla
and who
Grodd
else?
though. Gorilla Grodd.
Grodd is cool. I like Grodd. So, and he's still alive, isn't he?
Yeah, he's still alive.
He's somewhere.
So you want to speak about evil villains, and we're not necessarily
Yeah.
jumping our lineup here, but it introduced me to Legends of Tomorrow. That's
Yes.
the other show. I know we talked about Sarah earlier with her relationship with uh, Kara's sister, but I think that show by far has had the best villains between the
Yeah,
entire
and
CW lineup.
and that's another one I watched at the same time before I watched Arrow and Flash. I was watching Supergirl and Legends, right?
Hmm.
Because I don't know why. To tell you the truth, I just started watching it. I was like, that looks like a cool show, and I've always liked the character of Firestorm.
Hmm. Hmm.
And I didn't realize they had introduced Firestorm in the Flash at first. I thought he was just new to the show, to Legends. So
The thing I like about that show is that it looks and feels like it's got no guidelines, no framework. It just gives you these characters and it gives you a setting. In some cases, it's a ship, and then it just goes for it. Like every other episode, It's a serialized show, just like all these shows. But in any given moment, they can have an episode that has nothing to do with the episode that happened 3 episodes before because they're traveling in a different timeline. What
Right.
if Barack Obama was killed and they had to go back and save
Yep.
them? And it is just like to me, it looks like these guys are not just the actors themselves, but the directors, the producers are going balls to the wall with whatever is intriguing. Like it's a fresh comic book, like a what if episode. Remember Marvel used to have the what ifs?
Yep.
What if Silver Surfer had gotten the Infinity Gauntlet
Right.
before Thanos, whatever.
Yep.
It felt like watching one of those comic book come to fruition on TV, and it was just great because some of the stories are actually pretty dark. They actually tackle the slavery one, where they all were transported back in time,
Mm-hmm.
and then the actor that's playing Firestorm was saying, "Hey, this is different for you guys, but for me, this is not the same
It affects me differently.
experience."
Right. Yeah. And I
Exactly.
know, and there was a couple episodes where they went back in time, and the brown characters on the show had to be more aware of their surroundings.
Yes,
Yep.
yes. But then the very next episode, they're back in Iceland times, and there's this big super teddy bear, Teddy Ruxpin character that's
Right.
saving the day. So it's like how could you do that? Like this is just great stuff.
Yeah, that
It,
it's very entertaining. Yeah, and it's because the universe is so big for them, right? They have basically
they
unlimited
have more
resources.
latitude to
Yeah.
like write a good story, and as long as the actors are doing their jobs,
Yep.
shout outs to Sarah Lance, White Canary. She's grown on me since the first season. I wasn't too fan because I knew her from Arrow, which is
Hmm.
where her character came from.
Yeah.
Most of these characters came from. I wasn't a huge fan of her, but then throughout the show, when she stepped up, became a leader after the original leader, Rip Hunter, had moved on. She grew on me ever since then.
Right. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I like
and
Sarah.
and and that's the thing that I like. I mean, let's start comparing some of these shows together. Like
Sure.
we talk about Oliver, right? Oliver
Yeah.
started this whole thing, and you watch it to his current season, where he's gonna make a sacrifice. He had several teams on his show, and then you have Sarah, who was thrust into a position of leadership. The one critique I have about Oliver Queen, played beautifully by Stephen Amell, is that he's become a terrible leader for the most part. Like
Yeah. He's
when he
never
had
been a
his
good leader, though. I don't
he's
think.
never been a good leader,
Right.
and you could see it from the different, and they have some great stories that actually point that out to you, that he's done wrong by Wild Dog. He's done wrong by the new Black Canary, who's a lieutenant at the
Hmm.
PD.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, you see Sarah Lance and how she's led her team to like catastrophic timeline changes, and she's always been like team first, despite the fact that she has her own
Yeah.
issues.
Yeah.
It's just great how again, this is all part of the Berlanti universe, right? CW,
Hmm.
how they can showcase one character in one fashion and it still do well. You still love Arrow, and
Yeah.
then showcase another character in another franchise with different aspects of that character, and it's still doing well.
So
And you're
I
just
think,
like,
yeah. So I was gonna say that for me, it's what's I like about Oliver is he's not a great leader, but he's a decent tactician. When it comes to
he is,
getting the job done.
he is.
So
You notice during the crossovers, they all go to him first, even
exactly.
Sarah.
Yep. Uh
Yeah. What do we do? It's like,
huh.
call a cap, like an MCU, call a cap. Yeah, that's
Exactly.
that's his role.
Right.
But terrible leader. Terrible human leader.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, Legends to me is like a show where I don't necessarily have to kind of buy into the entire story and the narrative. I just gotta make sure I understand who the characters are in each episode, and I go with what they're giving me. And for the most part, they do right by me. They're not giving me something really
Hmm.
crazy where I was like, wait a minute, what's his name? Oh my god, freaking Heatwave would never do that because
Rory.
they've been
Yeah.
consistent with his character. Rory's been consistent
I
no
love
matter what.
Rory. By the way,
He's
Rory's
always
great.
been
Yeah.
Rory, like
Yeah.
no matter what's happening around him.
Hmm.
Yeah, they may put him in a weird situation, like the Comic Con episode where he had to expose himself as a writer of those
Yeah.
sci-fi rom movies.
That
But
whole
he
arc
still,
with him writing the book is hilarious.
yes,
Yeah.
but he still played it as himself.
I
Like they
know.
didn't.
Yep.
That is great stuff, man.
Oh yeah.
Dominique Purcell since the Prison Break days, man.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
All right.
Yeah, it was very cool that they teamed him up with Wentworth, right?
Yeah,
Leonard.
his buddy
Yeah.
from Prison Break, who
Yep.
actually I love that character too, man. I was sad to
Yeah.
see him go.
Oh
I think
yeah.
the actor had other things to do, but
I have a
that was
feeling we'll
sad.
see Wentworth again for Crisis, though.
For the
I'm
final one,
hoping.
yeah,
I'm hoping. Let me see here.
I'm
He is
sure.
not listed. No, he's not listed, but because he's on Madam Secretary now, that other show.
Oh, I did
So he
not
might
know
not
that.
have. Yeah, he might have not have had time to film.
Yeah,
Oh well, that
that's all
sucks.
right.
But hmm
So I guess before we get into just overall opinions on some of these shows, we have to touch small snippet of Batwoman because she was introduced in the previous previous crossover, and we know she's going to be in this new one. So I'm not quite
yeah.
sure what role she's going to play, because her universe is in the same. She's in the same universe as Arrow and Flash.
Mm-hmm.
Supergirl is the only one I think. Oh, and Legends. They
Yep.
exist outside of universes.
See,
So
if you notice, so one thing I'm going to compare these shows to the animated is that on the animated ones, Bruce is the tactician, but he's not the people leader.
mm,
Notice that?
that's Arrow.
Yeah.
Sounds like
Well,
Arrow.
I don't really you don't really see much of Arrow on the in the animated ones. I don't remember.
No, no. I mean, like when you compare it
Mm-hmm.
to CW.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So that's how I think about it. Like Bruce is a great tactician and detective, but he's not great around people, right? So
So would you say the trinity of this is Arrow, Flash, and Supergirl?
yeah, probably. I think I'd agree there.
I agree. All right. So we've come full circle with this upcoming crisis. So, Mike, just since you're still fresh in this, and I love getting somebody who's just like got into this whole universe, what's been
Mm.
your favorite moments out of this Arrowverse? What's been your least favorite moments? And what are you looking forward to?
So I definitely love the crossovers. Those are great to see them all together, and then flipping over to the other shows to continue the crossovers. Those have been great. Some of the characters have been great. I love that they introduced John Constantine, kept him alive in this universe.
We didn't even
You
talk
know,
about that.
after
Holy crap. Yeah.
yeah,
He's
you
been
know,
huge in the Legends.
right. They basically dedicated a whole season to witchcraft and wizardry and demons and
Let's be
all that
honest.
good
That
stuff.
show was never going to do well on NBC.
Oh no, which is sad. I liked it. I didn't I didn't know what they wanted. You know, they didn't really give it a chance. So
No, they
you
thought
know,
they had like another Grimm, and it wasn't the same audience.
right,
Not at all.
exactly, yeah, yeah. I think people were expecting more Keanu Reeves than anything, right? So
Oh shit! I don't
yeah,
know about that, but if they were, holy,
Mm.
yeah, man, that's terrible.
yeah,
You know, I have some folks of mine who are diehard DC fans who said that the Keanu Reeves rendition was the worst too. It was just terrible.
yeah. I mean, it's a fine movie. Like I'll watch it if it's on, but it's not. I don't consider it. You know what I mean? It's not canon to me, right?
Yeah,
So
it's not canon, but do you find that his version of it? You find it terrible, abysmal? Like,
I wouldn't say terrible, just not great.
gotcha.
So yeah.
Fair enough.
It is what it is. I see Keanu Reeves on screen. I go, oh, that's Keanu Reeves.
Gotcha.
Like I never see the character he's portraying. I always see Keanu Reeves. So
So you say that's your best has been the crossover, and we're just talking about Constantine terrible versions. What's been your like worst, least liked moment in this Arrowverse?
well, so far it's Batwoman, but like I said, I'm gonna give that a chance. What else? Some of the some of the stuff that dragged on and on us unnecessarily. Some of the romance arcs and thing like that. I could live without, but I like I said earlier, I understand they have to fill the time somehow. You know, so
Gotcha. I'm gonna pair my thoughts with yours because we're pretty much the same. Which is weird
hmm
because I've had I don't know 8 years, however long Arrow's been on, to really
yeah.
invest myself in this Arrowverse. And I think my favorite
hmm
moments actually have been the crossovers.
Yeah.
I'll never forget the first time, the first crossover, not the first one with Arrow and Flash, but the second one when Legends and everyone
Was
was,
that the
was
wedding one?
involved. The wedding one, and then it was me, and my kids. Oh, they were so young then. My wife. We made like an event. Like we went and got popcorn. We sat there. We were like, "Wow, why couldn't just?" I think it came around the same year as Justice League, and we were literally like,
Yeah.
"Why couldn't this have been Justice League?" Like we all look at
Right.
each other like, "This is some great shit." Pardon my French.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Yeah.
goosebumps just remembering how we felt seeing that first crossover, that first real crossover. Yeah, I definitely
Mm-hmm.
got to put that some of my best, and I have to put Arrow season 2 up there too. It's probably the
Mm-hmm.
best
Season
season
2 was really
of
good. Yep.
any of these TV superhero shows, including Agents of Shield. Yeah, that season
Yeah.
2 Arrow was phenomenal. Least, if we take out Batwoman from this, least is probably some of the Supergirl seasons that
That are
just
getting preachy. Yeah.
yeah, getting preachy, lazy writing. We don't know, like they're
Mm-hmm.
throwing too many subplots. There's an alien conspiracy. There's Martian Manhunter and his dad who has dementia. There's what's her
It's
name trying to
almost.
adopt a child yet still come
Yeah.
out and let her know that she's a lesbian. There's
It's almost soap opera like.
yeah, it's like yeah, soap opera. 60 different stories
Mm-hmm.
happening. Meanwhile, you're like,
Mm-hmm.
where are we heading with this with this story?
Mm-hmm.
It's just ridiculous. So.
Yeah.
Which leads us to the Arrowverse crisis coming in December. What are your predictions? Outside of the main one who's gonna die, like what do you think is gonna be revealed, not revealed? I got a fucky one for you. That's why I want to hear yours.
Well, I don't even know. I haven't even really thought about it. I mean, I'm just looking forward to watching it. Right? Like I'm going in just blind. Like, just bring it to me. Right? Just bring it. That's all. Like I know. We were talking about. Yeah, some people might die and this and that.
Mm-hmm.
And the multiverse is supposed to merge whatever's left. So,
Mm-hmm.
oh, I did want to ask you. So apparently, in the last Arrow, Earth 2 was destroyed,
Yes.
but isn't so Jesse's Jesse from the Flash,
Jesse Quick.
the son? No, who's the son? Iris's brother,
Um. Wally West.
Wally. Wally West, his girlfriend is Jesse, right? Jesse Quick.
Yeah, Jesse Quick.
Aren't they? Her and her dad live on Earth 2,
Yeah,
right?
but that by the way, that actress is doing this
Mm-hmm.
show God Frenemy on CBS, so I doubt she's coming back.
But my question is, are they dead now?
More than likely.
Which kind of sucks, right?
Yeah.
Because that Wells
Unless
came back a few
yeah,
times
unless
to help.
unless they were not. There's several websites by the way that I was looking at on when was it when I was away this week that have like different maps of all these different universes tied and it was just too much of a deep dive. Um, so there's folks out there doing the same math that you're doing, but it was definitely Earth 2 that I know for sure because I watched the episode twice. I myself once with the family, and
Right.
I definitely
Okay.
confirmed that was Earth
That's
2.
yeah, and then blonde Laurel, she was from Earth 2. Is that the same one that has been there for a few years?
Yeah.
Right. That's the
So
same
he
one that
saved
became a
her, which I thought
DA.
was very funny. Yeah, she became a DA.
Yeah, I
She
just
went
couldn't remember.
back
So
because
yeah,
I think somebody on
mm,
Earth, somebody on their Earth was calling her out from the Arrow. She went
mm-hmm.
back. So
That's right. I couldn't remember. I knew she was going back to her Earth. I just didn't remember if it was 2 or 3. I couldn't remember what Earth she was from. Okay, so she was from 2. Oliver went there, basically destroyed the planet, or it's
well,
his fault,
I don't know. You
and
can argue
saved
that part,
her.
his fault or not fault. He
Yeah,
got the
I
Dark
know.
Star
He thinks
material,
it's
but
his
yeah, he got.
fault. Yeah, yeah. The Monitor says it's his fault, and he's going to take the blame because he always does that. But not Sherlock. Harry Wells from Earth 2 is apparently dead, and so is. Who else was from that Earth? Wasn't no. Vibe's girlfriend's
No,
not from
she's
there,
not.
right? She's from a
Not with
different
Machete.
Earth.
Machete.
Yeah, that's right.
Her dad. Yeah.
Mm. So one thing I do wonder is if Vibe's going to get his powers back because recently on the Flash he gave up his powers, right, with the
So
cure.
something's telling me that I think the actor himself is slowly moving away from the show. So I think
Okay.
this is one way of him like trying to relinquish his role.
Yeah.
I think I read somewhere he wants. I could be wrong. He wants to do Broadway acting, whatever.
Really? Hmm.
So I think there's gonna be a lot of deaths.
Yeah.
So this is my thoughts. My interesting thoughts is that I think there'll be a lot of deaths, minor characters mostly.
Hmm.
Then you know the big one, which I don't see him not dying. Arrow. But I also see them merging all of these into a predominant, Earth Prime type universe where
Yep.
now you can introduce other DC characters, like there's Batman. They've got they had Hawkgirl and
Right.
Hawkman earlier in Legends. They can
Yep.
rebring those characters back.
Hmm.
They have John Constantine. They had Damien Dark. They have all these supernatural. They can actually do a full fledged DC universe that they
Justice
failed to
League. Yeah.
do
Hmm.
on the DC stream platform. This is what
Yeah.
I'm getting at here.
Right.
They can do a Teen Titans. They
Yep.
can reboot it. They can do all these characters. They can do Swamp Thing.
Hmm.
They could do Nightwing. They can do many things now once this crisis kind of merges all the DC um, IP
Yep.
into one solid universe.
Yeah.
So I think this is a test. Obviously, they're betting on us liking this, continuing liking this,
What do you
appreciating
think
it.
of this version of Superman? By the way.
Oh boy, oh boy, keep him away from this show.
And what do you think of
Keep him
Lois?
away with Lois. Keep him away with Lois having babies in some alternate universe.
Uh huh.
You know, here's the thing. We still haven't seen. I mean, they're gonna show us Kevin Conroy finally as Batman, but we know he's gonna be like the version of Batman that's like in Batman Beyond, way
Yeah.
too old to
Right.
fight.
Yep.
So they're not gonna show us. They're never gonna. I don't. I doubt they're ever gonna show us any prime, Batman. Like how Gotham only showed us a teenager. We're never gonna see prime Batman in this universe, and we're not. We probably won't see Superman again in this universe after
Well,
this crisis.
so, but yeah, the thing is, even if we do see him in this universe, Kate's cousin, he's been doing this for a while, so he's going to be older, right? He's not going to be her
Yeah,
age.
yeah.
I assume he's like a 10 year older
He's
at
a 10-year
least
old.
cousin.
We probably won't see Wonder Woman. We'll see maybe Power Girl,
Yeah.
another version of her.
Right.
So I think this is a way of them opening the entire DC platform, minus the Trinity.
Although in the last episode of Batwoman, she mentioned Wonder Woman, which I thought was interesting.
Did I miss that?
I think. Did you see episode 3 yet?
It's in my queue. I thought I did. Maybe I didn't.
Okay. If you didn't, I could have swear it was Batwoman who
Do you
mentioned.
know
Yeah.
they also mention her in Legends? Did you see the episode where they kidnap Helen of Troy and they dropped her off at
That's right.
Themyscira?
Yes, you're right.
Yeah,
Yeah. So she's there somewhere, I think, because if
yeah.
Batwoman's mentioning her by superhero name, right? That means she's out there somewhere.
All right, I gotta see that again. Maybe I missed it.
Yeah, I'll put it on again later. It's just I'll scan through it. I know there's a one scene. I think it was Alice talking to Kate, or Kate talking to her ex about, or Kate was
Hey,
talking to somebody about why she's Batwoman, and they mentioned, well, you're not Wonder Woman or something.
interesting.
Yeah, it's just a quick reference, right? So, but I caught that and I was like, that's interesting.
Good stuff.
So,
So yeah, man, I'm looking
yeah,
forward to this stuff. Really am.
yeah, same here. Now that I'm all caught up, it's good because a lot of things too.
Dude,
Like
you're a
you watch
savage.
Legends,
I don't
and
know how
then
you're able to
there's a
power
lot of
through
reference.
all those shows.
It was if it was crappy TV, I would have stopped. I would have been like, sorry guys, I just can't do it. These shows are just terrible. But they were at least interesting enough. Like they
You
kept me
watched the
interested,
whole
right?
arc of
So
both Martian
they kept
Manhunter
me going.
trying to reconcile with his father and what's her name trying to adopt a baby and come out to her parents at the same time. Wow, those two storylines were brutal to me. What is
Oh, I
this
know.
coffee that you
I know.
drink? Like, why are these Martian guys African for some reason? Like, uh,
I know, and then don't get me started on the White Martians
I
too,
wasn't
right?
even thinking
So,
about that. Oh, DC,
oh.
how I love you.
So I'm think I'm gonna say, like, if I rank, we have a lot of different DC universes going on. We've
Say
got the CW version, we've got the DC
it.
FU, and we've got the DC streaming
And DC
verse, right?
animation.
Um, and DC animation. So it's that frustrates me. You know that, right? Like, it's so frustrating. Like, all these different because they're gonna bring, what was I gonna they're oh, so Deathstroke, that the one character who's been on Arrow a lot, he's coming to Titans.
Yes,
So
somebody spoiled it for me
that's
because
why
it was
it's very
one
frustrating.
of the feeds that I follow. It just splattered it to me on one of my feeds, and I was like, I'm waiting till the entire show ends so I
Uh
can, binge it one shot.
yeah, yeah. So I think they're on episode 7, or is going to be airing
Are
this
you all
week.
caught up?
I saw the first episode, and no, I only watched the first one, and that was it. And the first one was them basically escaping from that demon
What's his
that
name's
was
dad? Yeah, yeah.
the little
Trigon.
girl's father. Yeah, and that was it. Yeah, and then they moved on to another
Oh,
arc, so
damn.
that was it. So you don't miss, like, yeah, it doesn't really get into it, so I haven't got into it yet. But my point is, like, we have a Deathstroke in this universe, we
Oh,
have a
we didn't even talk
Deathstroke
about
in the other
Deathstroke.
one. It gets
So I know I
frustrating.
mentioned to you how my favorite villains have been from
Yeah.
Legends, but outside of Legends, I love
Mm-hmm.
Deathstroke on Arrow.
Yep.
He was great. Manute
Yeah, he
Manute
was great.
Manute Bennett, I think his name was.
Yeah.
I knew him since he was in a show way
Uh
back
huh.
in the day on, is it Showtime or Stars, called Spartacus. That dude. Yes, that's where he's from. My
Oh,
wife
that's where
my
he's
wife
from.
definitely remembered
Yeah.
him.
Okay.
Um
A lot of
yes,
good
yes.
actors from that
Great
show.
actors who did their own stunts.
Mm.
So yeah, it was great
Yeah.
seeing him. Wait a minute, did you
Yeah.
catch up on the Arrow episode with our favorite Highlander? Oh my God, last
Who's
season
that?
of Arrow. It was Adrian.
Um,
I'm drawing a blank.
who's he
He
playing?
played Highlander TV show.
Oh,
Oh my God, dude. He was on for. He was like a small arc last season
yeah. Who is he
where
playing?
he was playing some bad guy that was like selling drugs and like it was a dumb story arc. But he was like the main crime boss, and
Okay.
he actually went hand to hand against Arrow for like a good 10 seconds
Hmm.
before he dipped out. Oh
Hmm.
man, he played Duncan McLeod from the old TV show.
Nah, I
What's his
can. Let
name?
me
He's
look it
from
up. Hang on.
Vancouver.
Not Chris Lambert.
No, not the movie Chris.
No, not the movie one. Okay,
Adrian
the
Paul.
series. Okay,
Adrian
hang on.
Paul.
Right, right.
This
Okay, yeah.
last season on Arrow,
Yeah, hang on. I'm looking it up because I don't remember. Yeah,
dude. As
here
soon
we
as I
go.
saw him, I went on like
Oh, Dante. Oh,
yes,
Dante.
I
Right,
went
right.
on
He
like
looked different
on
though.
Twitter
Yeah,
because he's older now. I went on
yeah,
Twitter and he
yeah.
had like an account and people just like me did the same thing. It was like a deep dive. Oh my God, I thought you were alive. He was, yeah, I'm alive. I was like, thank you to the CW Network and their team for giving me the chance. I was like, wow,
Yeah,
dude. I was so
that's
nostalgic
great.
seeing him.
Yeah.
Like he didn't have a
Mm,
sword. He was like shooting firearms and fighting hand to hand. But
right.
yeah, it's great seeing
Yeah,
him.
yeah. I remember. So he trained. So Dante trained his Emiko.
Yes, Amiko.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Now I remember.
Yeah.
Um, and of course we didn't talk about Dolph Lundgren.
No, we ain't talking about him, and we will not. Let's move on.
Yeah.
Bradva,
Okay.
Bradva.
Right. Yeah.
All right,
Oh
good
gosh.
stuff, man. I'm glad that you caught up, and I'm looking forward to us doing this again
Yep.
at the halfway point at the end of this year when they air half of the Crisis.
Yes. No. You know what we should
Or you want to
do?
wait
We
till
should.
after the end?
No. No. I think we should do one before Crisis starts, just to catch up where everything is,
Mm.
and then we should do another one after Crisis. Just a quick summary or reaction for the Crisis episodes. What do you think?
Bueno, I'm in.
All right. Works for me. Well, I'll let the boss know, and I'm sure he'll set it up.
Alrighty.
All right, so it's after 9. I think we'll call it a day here because we've spent almost an hour talking about this stuff.
Good talk, man. It felt like it was a couple of
I
seconds.
still don't. I still don't know how they talked for an hour about Batwoman, but I guess
I can't wait to hear this, man. I'm gonna play this with the whole family and
Yeah.
have them hear it. Hopefully, I don't lose any subscribers on that. Love you guys.
Yeah. Hey, don't forget everyone to catch us on iTunes, Google, Spotify, all the major podcast platforms. Don't forget our website is heroespeak.com. You can catch us on Facebook at Heroes Peak, as well as Twitter and Instagram.
Also, please give us
Oh,
5 stars. 5 stars, please.
Yes, if you like the show, don't forget to rate it. Give us our 5 stars, and don't forget, tell all your friends too.
And if you like it, still give us
So
5
help us
stars
grow our
anyway.
base.
We'll work on improving it.
There you go. All right, everyone. All right, Jim. Thanks. Have a good night. I'll talk to
All
you
right,
soon.
Mike.